everyone, this is Donna, the Technology and Media Librarian with the Upper Arlington Public Library. I'm here with the last in our Basics of Google series, the condensed and virtual versions of our Basics of Google Drive, Gmail, and now Google Docs programs. In this video, I'm sharing my top 5 favorite Google Docs features. If you've never used Google Docs before, this is Google's cloud-based document creator and editor. It's available to you at no cost when you create a Google account. It's available to you for storing and creating files. You can do this through Google Drive, or you can use the dedicated Google Docs application, which you can access directly. So if you're signed into your Google account from your browser and you click on your app menu here, you can click on Docs, and this will open up the screen that you're looking at. It'll let you start a new document, and it will automatically save any Google Docs that you create when you're logged into this account. Basically, cloud word processing. You can write letters, you can create resumes, write manuscripts, reports, proposals, and so forth. Whatever you can think of that's a word processing document, you can create that from scratch or through a template here in Google Docs. You can convert these files into PDFs for sharing. You can convert them into Microsoft Word documents. And it works the other way. You can convert Word documents into Google Docs. Word of caution, they're not perfectly aligned when it comes to fonts and to formatting. But if you need a Word version of your file for yourself, or if you're sharing them with others, Google Docs is definitely an option, and it's a free option at that. A quick note, especially if you're new to Docs, everything you create in this application, whether you're using your web browser, which I am, or in the Google Chrome web browser for this video, or if you're using the Google Docs app on your smartphone or tablet, which you can download for free from your device app store, it's not only accessible to you from Docs, the app, but also from Google Drive. So I'm just going to quickly switch over to Google Drive here. If you're signed into the same Google account, it's syncing across the devices where that account is logged in. So any files that I create here in Docs will also show up here in my Google Drive for me to access. And that's the reason I do mention Google Drive in this video, but please check out our Basics of Google Drive video as well. But just wanted to let you know that if you're creating Docs files, you're not only saving them to Docs and to Drive, you're not taking up any storage space in Drive either. If you've got the Google's free account, which gives you 15 gigabytes of storage space for your cloud storage, your Google Docs, and even though they're not covered in these videos, Google Slides and Google Sheets are also available to you. They are not taking up any file storage size here in Google Drive. So if you're concerned about only having about 15 gigabytes of storage, just know that Docs are not encroaching on that storage space for you. Okay, so I'm going to close out Drive here. We're back in Google Docs. My very first tip is just so quick and easy. I'm not even going to count it as one of my top 5. So this is a bonus tip for anyone who's using the browser version of Google Docs. If you'd like to create a new blank document using Google Docs, you can do so in a couple ways. Obviously, if you're here in the Google Docs application, you can click on blank to start a new document or use one of the templates in the template gallery. If you're in Google Drive, then you can create a new document blank or from a template by clicking here on this new button and then clicking on Google Docs. Or if you're like me and you don't want to click through a bunch of buttons and avoid that process altogether, all you'd need to do is open a new browser tab and type docs.new or doc.new, hit enter on your keyboard, and you've created a brand new blank untitled document. It's all ready for you to start editing and creating. As long as you're signed in with that same Google account, it's automatically saving to your Google Docs application into Google Drive. So that's just a quick little bonus tip I wanted to share with you. Open up a new browser tab, docs.new, hit enter, and you're all good to go. So we'll close this out, and then we'll get into our actual top 5 tips. Very first tip, real tip that is, and that's using the clear formatting command. One of the advantages of using Google Docs is that it can open Microsoft Word documents. I've got one here, this sample Word formatting document. It's got the .docx extension, so you know it's a Word document. You can also use Google Docs to open PDFs. But we know that the formatting is not always going to translate perfectly, especially if we copy and paste from another source or if we try to edit in Google Docs. That can be really frustrating, but before you give up altogether, because it feels like you have to completely redo a document, try clear formatting first. So you can copy and paste and then clear formatting from another source. then apply the correct formatting. You can also open a Word document, select all of it, and then clear its formatting. So I'll show you a few different ways to do that. The first is if you copy paste from another source, which is what I'm going to do with this blank document. Let's say you're copying and pasting something from a web page, which has a completely different formatting than documents do. I'm going to open up the library's website in my next tab. I'm just going to scroll down here and copy and paste some of this text about hot topics from our reference department. So if you click here, we're going to highlight, and then we're going to copy using our keyboard commands. And then I'm going to go back here to my document, and I'm going to paste what I just copied. So you can see here it's pasted into my document. This is maybe not how I want my formatting to look. So, everything's off to the right. It's got a few different fonts, different colors. What you can do is highlight this text. So I use Control or Command plus A on my keyboard to select all. I'm going to come up here to my Format tab, and then I'm going to run down here and click Clear Formatting. And you can see here it's kept all of the web links, but now all of the formatting has been cleared, so it's all very consistent looking. So that's one way you can do that. You can copy, paste, and then clear formatting from another source. If we go back to Google Docs, I'll show you how this will look for a Microsoft Word document, the one that I showed you just a few moments earlier. So if you open this Word formatting document, we're going to edit in Google Docs. And then this one doesn't have too much formatting applied to it. It's really just some bolding, and obviously the fonts are very similar. It's a font that's also found here in the Google Docs application. But let's say that I wanted to clear all this formatting and redo it all together because I'm using a new program. What I can do is, again, highlight all of my text. I'm going to do Command A on my keyboard for Macs, Control A on a keyboard for a PC, and then I'll come back up here to Format, and then I'll clear formatting for everything. So you can see it's got it back to a pretty basic style, and I can go ahead and I can change this up however I'd like to. So that's how you can do that in a Word document, just highlight everything. If you want, you can also open up a PDF in Google Docs, and you can clear formatting there as well. So I've got a PDF stored in my Google Drive. So I wanted to upload that to my Google Docs. Click here on Open File Picker, and then here I'm in My Drive. So I'm going to look for not documents, but for a PDF. I know I've got one here. I've got a resume, and you can see this has already got a lot of formatting that's been applied because this was created using a doc template. So I'm just going to open this resume, and I want to open this in Docs. So once that's been open, you can see this does not look very easily edited. And even though this was created with a Google Docs template, once I converted it into PDF, kind of all bets are off. So here's what we can do. We can edit, we can go to Select All, and then we can say, let's clear this formatting. Now, this is not perfect. Obviously, you still have a couple different columns, but now you don't have to worry about how oddly that text is aligned or all of the different fonts that you're dealing with and the colors. You can just kind of start from scratch. On to my next tip. When it comes to Google Docs, you do have the option to share your documents with others so you can work collaboratively. If you share a doc with someone or even several someones, you can let them edit it. You can give them the permission to make comments on your document. Or you can tell them that they can just view it. Even with documents, though, that you don't share, that are just you're the writer, you're the editor, you're the only person who's looking at it, you can still use the comment and suggestion features. Essentially, you're just collaborating with yourself. I know that sounds weird, but here is how you would go about doing that. So what I'm going to do is open up this resume we have. You can see this is already formatted because I did use one of the Google Docs templates for resumes. But if you want to make a comment, and this would apply if you're working with another person or if you're just working with yourself, you'd click on your screen where you want the comment to appear. So I've got my cursor here on the right side. And then click on the Add Comment button up at the top in your menu. And then just go ahead and enter a comment. So whoever is commenting is going to show up as the person here. Obviously, it's myself to myself. But you can use this as a way to put reminders about making an edit. You can put a note to yourself about writing up a citation. If you're just kind of working and you've got an ongoing project, you can use comments to sort of keep track of your thoughts or your ideas or your notes. So what you could do here is just say, and then once you click comment, it posts it to the right side of your screen. So at this point, as you are accumulating comments, you can scroll through and review each one of them. And then at that point, if you click on a comment, you can, obviously if you're working with someone else, you can click reply and make a comment back to them, maybe clarifying some information, or you could reply to yourself. Hey, that's completely up to you. Here you can decide that you want to edit. If you're the comment owner, you can edit a comment and maybe change a little bit of this around. You can also click to delete a comment if you decided it's no longer applicable or if you've already done what you needed to, or you can click resolve, which will hide the comment discussion. So that's using comments. You can also, once you've made them, go up here to comment history, and then you can see what comments have been made, which comments you've resolved, which ones you've edited, which ones you've deleted, and so forth. So you can scroll through and you can see all the comments that I did as tests on this particular account. And then those are available to you. And again, this is helpful if you're working collaboratively, but you might want to go back and see what you've written about something on your own work that you've needed to kind of go back and review. As for suggestions, when you're the document owner, you're also its editor, so any changes that I'm making right now are edits. However, if you're reviewing a document, maybe you're not ready to finalize some details, what you can do instead is click here on editing mode up in the top right corner, just under the share button, and then change that from editing to suggesting. So if you click on suggesting mode, when you retype something, it's not going to completely change it. Instead, this is what's going to happen. So we'll do a change like this one, and you can see the original text is now highlighted and has a strike through in green, and then this is just a suggestion that I've made for this text to be changed. So it's telling me what I'm replacing with what I've just typed. And this is where, again, I said this is a little funny, but you can accept or reject a suggestion. Now, obviously, if you are the person who's working on this document and you're the only person who's working on this document, yes, it feels like you're rejecting yourself. Don't think of it that way. Just think of it as, saying maybe I'll put this in and maybe this is what it'll look like, but I'm not sure yet. If you decide to accept the suggestion, it makes that change. I'm just going to undo on my keyboard. If you decide to reject the suggestion, it goes back to the original text. And then if you come up here to comment history, you can even see that that suggestion was rejected here in the history. But like I said, this might be just a way for you to jot down suggestions or comments as you're writing or as you're going through the editing process for a document, especially if you have, say, a manuscript, it's quite long, or if you're working on recipes, or even if it's a resume like this one. It's just something for you to refer to at a later time and maybe make a decision if you're not quite ready at this stage. So it's your document, your writing process. You decide whether this works for you. And if it doesn't feel like it works for you for a document that you're creating, it does apply if you're sharing with someone else and you're commenting or suggesting on their documents, or they're commenting or suggesting on yours. Speaking of making edits that you're maybe not 100% on, that leads into my next tip, which is using something called version history on documents. So version history is very helpful if you're, again, editing a document, say a final draft, but you want to see what changes have been made to it. Maybe compare a past version with the current version of your document. To do that, we'll click on File here, and then we're going to select Version History, and then we're going to click the See Version History button. So this is where you can go through past iterations of your document and not only see when those were, but you can click on them and see what they are. And like I said, compare to your current version. So obviously this has been a test document, so there's multiple versions I've created, but you can go back in time. Let's say we'll go back to this very previous version and click on that, and you can see what it originally looked like. So this was the original template before I started making my edits. If you want to, you can even restore this version. So you can make this the current version again. If you click on Restore Version, you get a little pop-up asking if you want to replace the current version with this previous one. And I'm going to go ahead and say yes. So we click Restore. It tells us up here, this is the restored version. This is when, what time. And now if I go back to version history, So I'd click on File, Version History. You can see this is the current version. It was restored from this date and time. This is the name of the account. That's all the information about it. So there's a new timeline for this document because we have the restored version on top. It's not the only feature you can use with version history. You can actually, and see this as the example, you can name previous versions so that you're not using the timestamp. Maybe that information is not necessarily the most helpful for you as you're going back through this history. So you can click on the More Actions button and click Name this version. So we can say this is maybe our second draft for video, and then now we've got a name. So we've got a first draft, we've got a second draft, and then you can go through and you can continue to name all of these versions. So the other thing I want to show you, and I clicked a little bit too soon, so I'm going to show this one more time. The other thing you can do with version history is make a copy of either your previous or your current versions of a file. By clicking on that More Actions button, you can click on Make a Copy. And then what this will do is create a new and completely separate document from this one. It just uses it as the basis. So in this case, we would say, give it a name. You can even tell it where you'd like it to go in your Google Drive if you want to give it a new location. But with this new document, you not only name it, but you can edit it, share it, and so forth. But it is now separate from this timeline. It's a new version that's ready for you to make whatever edits are necessary. It's based on the original, but it is now completely separate. And that actually leads into my next tip, which is making copies of your documents. But you can do that from version history, or you can just use version history to go back in time and compare and contrast current versus previous versions of a document and restore an older one if it's got the necessary information for you, or it's the version that you think should be the current version. So we'll go on to making copies. So sometimes we'll create a document. I'm going to use this resume again as my example, and we'll need different versions of it because we want to make little adjustments. We want to swap out a few key details here and there. If you have a form letter, for example, that you like to use, but you want to change the recipient. If you have a resume where you want to add a new job or rearrange the order in which your jobs appear. If you have a recipe where you add some embellishments or you make a couple of tweaks to the recipe. Essentially, it's a document where you want all of the basic components to remain the same, but you'd like to make some adjustments without affecting any of these details. And that's where copies can come in handy. We can use version history to create a copy of a document. You can also just do it from the document directly. You'd click here on File, click on Make a Copy, and then you can give your new version a new name, and you can even select a new file location for that document in Google Drive. So I would say, like I said, when I use the resumes as an example, it's usually because you're changing how you're expressing all of your work history to reflect a particular job for which you're applying. So in this case, we're going to say this is a management resume, and we'd click OK. It'll open in a new tab, but that's really all you need to do. You've just made your copy. You can now be in this document. Here's our original up on the top, and then here's our copy. And then you can make whatever changes you'd like to this copy, and they won't have any reflection here in the original. So you can even go back to the version history. So here's our file for the new copy. We can see version history, and it doesn't have a history. It's brand new. We're starting fresh. We just used another document as the basis for this one. So this is the current version. You can rename this if you need to, or we can close out of version history. But if I made some changes here, if I added some details, so these are the edits I've made. I've changed a couple of names. This is my copy, and here I'm back in the original, and none of that's reflected. So as you toggle back and forth, you can see the differences, and then you can go on and create additional copies. You can make a copy of a copy and so forth. So that can be really helpful if, like I said, you've got a basic document that you use as the basis for all the others, and you don't want to make any changes to the original. You can just go ahead and create copies. The last thing I want to show you for this video is how you can insert and edit images. You can upload images from your computer or other local storage device into a Google Doc. And you have some image editing capabilities when you do that. So first thing we'll do is open up our document. Got this one here that I've already prepared. It's just got some text in it. But once we've got this open, what we'll do is click up here on the Insert menu, and then we'll select Image. It's the first option at the top. And then we're going to upload from our computer. So we can select an image, again, that I've already had prepared. We'll click this is the image that I've used. And then once we click open, it's going to insert directly into a doc wherever my cursor was at the time that I hit insert. So it's all the way here at the top of the document. If you click, you'll select your image, and this is where you can make some adjustments to it. So you can choose to wrap it around your text however you'd like. It's in line with my text right now. You can choose to wrap your text or break up your text. I like to wrap text. You can use the resize handles in the corners to make your image smaller if you need to. And then once you've got it selected, you can also move it around on your screen. So you can move it wherever you think it might need to go. A couple of other things you can do while your image is selected. You can click here on Image Options, and then you'll get a little menu here where you can change the transparency or the brightness or the contrast of it. So you can move along these sliders. You can make it a little more transparent. We can decide to recolor it. Right now I don't have any recoloring applied, but you can choose from one of them here if you wanted to. So we can do more of a sepia tone. You can change the position so that it moves with text, or you fix its position on the page. So you've got a few editing options. Obviously Google Docs is not an image editing program, so you're not going to get the full suite of editing options, but you can still add images and integrate them into a document to make them seem like a seamless part of your text. So you can move this around here. You can even add, you can reset your image to get it back to square one. You can add a border if you'd like. You can change the style of the border, change the color of it. So you can do a couple of different things just to make it a little bit more you and to make it a little bit more in line with what you need for this particular document. So you can insert and edit images straight from Google Docs. That's the last thing I have to show you, and that's it for Google Docs as well as for our basics of Google programs. Thank you so much for watching. Contact information for me and for the library's Media Services Department are available at the end of this video, plus downloadable handouts available on our media page. Don't forget to subscribe so you get notifications when new programs are available to watch. And don't forget to go back and look at the other basics of Google videos, basics of Gmail, and basics of Google Drive. Thanks again for watching.